Hey, happy Thanksgiving. I guess you snuck away from the family craziness. I guess it can be crazy, right? Um, right. On this cool Thanksgiving evening, actually, I'm not sure when you'd be watching this, but every year we try to do things like this. I always try to, I don't know for how long ago it was that we started to do this, but at some point, I don't know if it was maybe too long. But I can't remember this stuff. We've been doing this YouTube bit for, man, it is coming up to some time. I think we're coming up to what 11 years or something like that, or 10 years. I can't remember. I think it's actually 11 years because we did our first video in 2014. Yep. So this it is coming up. July will be 11 years. Uh, but I somewhere along the line, I remember thinking about, you know what, hanging out on the channel. Sometimes some people want to get away and not maybe just kind of break away from some stuff, and sneak away, maybe hang out with their hopefully maybe a favorite YouTube channel, right? Um, but now we figure we'd chat with you, hang out, come and hang out here on the channel, take a little break and everything. So we started doing this. We started doing this for like. Um, we did it for Halloween this year for sure that I can remember. That wasn't that long ago. But anyhow, we do it for Thanksgiving and Christmas and those type of events here that we do that. So got a different coffee mug. You guys have not seen this one. This was actually a gift to me from a pretty awesome lady. She's kind of she's a character in herself. But anyway, this one's for their Perryman there for giving me this coffee cup. Um, Also got the package in the mail. I was not expecting that. I think this is from somebody who's pretty crazy. But I think if you're watching this, you know who you are. That's the only person I can think of with those initials. I think, man, you didn't have to do that. I tell you, like I would love to be able to do the thing that I appreciate on top of. I mean, getting gifts is like, speaking of gifts, the very camera we're using to film this is a gift from Crazy Scotsman. Yeah, he's such a really good guy. Done so much for everything, and one of the things, like for me, like Mr. Holster and what he did for all that, and then getting that T-shirt sent around. I was so blessed and lucky to be able to be one of the people to sign that. I felt really privileged to be able to sign that, to be asked to sign that. So getting, sending stuff out, man, I tell you, that is so cool. Not only that, the time it takes to do this, and and it's not cheap anymore to send these boxes anymore out there. It's not like that. But I remember when I used to be able to do it. I guess the opportunities were a little bit more easier for me, time constraints. But my schedule is so tight. It is. I have so little time for anything. So I appreciate the gift, the effort, the time you spent, your time that you spent to send something like this off. That is just super cool. Anyway, I did bring a couple of things out for you guys that those of you that hanging out here on Thanksgiving. Um, I got one of the very first things here I wanted. I brought this out. This actually has made an appearance quite a bit lately on the show because I know it has not made a whole lot of appearance. What's in the black bag? This kind of goes back with me a little ways because this goes back for me when I very first saw. I don't even know if that grammar makes sense. When I first saw one of these for the very first time, it was one of these exact models. I'm going to wipe it down here for you because I store them in ballast. This is a Browning High Power. Um, I absolutely really like the pistol. I love the history on it. It used to be right before I got into uh, the 9mm Commander. I've always referred to the Browning High Power as my the mistress of my 1911s, and it comes from the same father. If that sounds really bad, but no, this was the very first model I saw. This is a T series. I didn't know any of this at the time. This is called T series. The T series is called that because it's got a T in the serial number. Usually it's a prefix. And then it's got all the other stuff, there's some other, markings on it. Do I dare say, as a glutton, I've got another one that it's got the pineapple looking markings on it. Actually, this one does too. That's on the barrel or on the chamber here. They call it the pineapple. It's like some kind of ordnance bag or something. But it's got a magazine disconnect. I did not do away with that. It's got a really stout trigger. These things, by most today's standards, where people are obsessed with trigger pull and tactics and all that, where I am not. This actually was the go-to. I mean, this was the greatest of all time. The GOAT, if you will, the early GOAT. This thing paved the way for a lot of other pistols. It's really cool, the history on it and everything. I really like it. If you want to see a really cool movie that features this thing, watch the movie Final Option. It's about the time it was in London or something when those the people, the terrorists, basically got into the building and everything. Basically, after 6 days of no results and basically casualties, they sent in SAS. The SAS carried these things for good reason too. But the very first one I ever saw was this. The bluing on these, just that real inky blue, just phenomenal bluing. And this one is in great shape. That's why this one's kind of you could almost say this is another safe queen. I know. We just talked about safe queens. But this is another safe queen. Doesn't get fired really. It's in really decent shape. It's also got some other characteristics in it. On the inside, I don't know if you'll see it, but on the insides, the back of the grips are red. Not sure what the whole deal was about that, or why why that was such a thing about red grips, red backs on the grips. So anyway, I got a hold of this thing. This is the original bag it comes in. It used to say Browning right there, but it's faded off, and it's got the red insert. This one here is it is made in Belgium. 100%, I guess it's made in Belgium. Not somehow you see where some of them will say assembled in like Portugal or something like that. Nothing wrong with them, but for the collector's sake, it's always about these ones here. They got the external extractor, so it's not as old as the one with the thumbprint they call it right here, and the internal extractor and all that. But that part all didn't really matter to me because it was all about this particular one. When I first saw him, this was like an obsession for me. I was like, man, I really want that. So the story with it for me is, we'll keep it out for a little while because it doesn't come out a whole lot. Move these giant pair of shears out of the way so we don't scratch it. Can you see it? Here, we'll put it up against the box there. But this dates back to when I was in Hawaii, and I talked to a fella that had one, and of course he had it in the same, he had the same bag and everything, and I think his was in like, some kind of brown paper or something. And I remember asking him, I said, I want to buy that, can you sell it to me? And this was probably 15 years ago, maybe longer now. I keep always saying that, but time just keeps going, phew, right there, gone, down the road. All of a sudden you're like going, man, looking back at stuff, you're like, that was many years ago. But anyhow, he had it. I tried to buy it from him, like I said, it's about 15, 16 years ago. And he said, imagine at the time, too, you could buy a standard high power for, I think, $400 or $500 or something like that. Maybe $600. Maybe they could have been up there at $600. But I remember back when I was doing that, to spend $5 something on a gun was like, that was kind of, was a hefty chunk of change. At least for me, it was. At least for me, I wasn't making a whole lot of money. What was it? Some cases, geez, $11 an hour or something like that. At best. At best. When I worked at Sports Authority in 2009, what was I making? 8 something? I ain't kidding. I was making peanuts. I got into the gun business, and the Sports Authority was my introduction to it all. I got into it not to make money, but I figured that I couldn't afford these things. So maybe if I got into business, I could afford it because I would be able to get hooked up a little bit. Yeah, you kind of do, but it's not like what you think. It's not like it's not like the hookups get, just every day you're just getting a deal, or you can find a deal. It's not necessarily that happens. I mean, I guess unless you own the shop and you got disposable money, but then you can't keep it all, right? You can't keep it all. You got to sell them. You got to put them up for sale. Sure, I mean, every shop owner in that aspect, I'm sure you have the cream of the cream for yourself. But that goes to depending on what your interest is. Some people are interested in things like this, and some people are not. I'm not, I'm not interested in, right now the big craze with everybody running around trying to find a Glock. I'm like, I don't care. I got 2 that I have, and that's it. Am I a fanatic trying to go and get more of them? No, they're a tool to me. That is a strictly a firearm that is soulless. It is a tool. It is for purpose. It's for reliability and all that, which is something I really like. I don't get into that aspect of firearms. That's not the part that interests me. I'm interested in stuff like this, the history, the cool factor. A lot of times, 75% of the time, maybe more, it's a movie-related thing. So that's like kind of my whole like jive for it. If it's not has any of that stuff involved in it, for me, I'm not a taker in it. I'm not going to be interested in it. I see so many, I'm just like, I'm just off they go. I have so little interest in some of them. I'm not an AR-15 fanatic. I have no real interest in the rifle. I don't have a purpose for it. I would rather have like an M1 carbine. I think that's cool. I used to have one, but I kind of interested in more like the newer one, maybe perhaps. I had the old one. It was a good one. It was in still good shape. Kind of wish I would have kept it, but I needed money at the time, so I sold it. And I hated chasing the brass for it. But you know what? I mean, things come and go, and you always find other ones that come along. But anyhow, back to that. See what happens in these videos. We start talking about all kinds of stuff. But I made him an offer one time. I said, I even threw it out there, which was way over my head. I said $1,100. And I think his response to me was like, he's like, I turned down 16. And I was like, damn. Oh my gosh. I paid less than half of that for mine much years later because I got quoted a real price for it, not some inflated, outrageous, to the moon. Why didn't you just say you didn't want to sell it? So anyway, sometimes that happens. But anyway, yeah. In the end, patience. Well, I wouldn't say patience because I'm not a patient person. Lack of finances is basically ends up me being me. I always have to settle for something that's flawed. I always have to settle for something that perhaps needs repair, and so then I can afford it and I buy it, and then I just kind of do a fixer-upper on it. So this is one of the few that I did get very lucky. I met a gentleman that had it, and I ended up buying it from him. So at a pretty decent price. So anyway, there's that. That's the high power, the Belgian high power. It's something really cool. I really cherish it. It's one of I do not see myself letting something like this go. I should actually wax this zipper because I do have some wax right here. How about that? We've talked about that wax block I have here on the other side of this box. Let's see if that helps it a little bit. I did. Yeah, look at that. Wouldn't you know? I took a tumble the other day. I really messed up my wrist again, as if it's not messed up again, or messed up to begin with. But I fell and I screwed up my wrist. I hope it's not too bad. It's kind of swollen, and I bruised up my right side real bad. So I remember when my grandpa fell in the bathroom. My grandpa's a World War II vet, worked in a refinery and smoked. Obviously, smoked. He was back from World War II days, so he smoked all that really toxic stuff and worked in a refinery. I remember he fell in the bathroom one day and it was bad, man. He cut himself pretty bad. I remember patching him up and getting him back up, to his feet. Man. So, at an early age, I was instilled with that, trying to help out, those that, can't, at some point, we are all going to get there. I'm going to get there. We're going to get to the point where getting up and out of bed and, watching him rock back and forth to get up out of a chair or something like that. We all get there. Time marches on. There is no downtime. There's no free time. There's no, catch up time. There's only lifetime. Go. It's all we got. You got to either do it or you don't. And I hope that at some point, hopefully somebody will be there to help me. Because man, I tell you, it gets scary. You start hitting those numbers, man. You take a tumble. Can you get up? And I've been helping out this other fella lately. He's a Vietnam vet. I've been helping him out a little bit with some of his stuff. If he kept up with our show, our Saturday show, I did a Smith & Wesson J-frame action job for him. I'm not saying I'm good at it or anything like that, but I know what to do, and so I was helping him out. And mainly I do that because at one time I was there when I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do with, I didn't know how to replace a mainspring housing on a 1911 that I wanted because I wanted an arched one instead of a flat one. And me being the most patient person I am, I wanted it done yesterday. So I didn't know how to do it. I remember tapping some pins out and attempting to do it and then messing things up, and I couldn't. Then I was stuck. I had a bag of parts, and I had to wait for somebody to help me. So I help him out. I'm picky. I'm picky about who I help out. I really am. I always said, if I help you out, I kind of, I like you, or maybe one time I liked you. But anyway, that's just how I am. But I also realized that I got to realizing really quickly because I grew up. I want to say I grew up faster than maybe most people my age, because I grew up hanging out with a lot of older folks all through, even back on the island. Everybody I hung out with up there at the Sunday shoot around area where we all kind of hung out and shot guns and barbecued and stuff like that. They're all older. I don't have much tolerance for stuff. I really quickly to kind of like have a zero tolerance for BS. I'm not going to BS around with certain stuff. So it's gotten that way for me. So I'm really picky and choosy of who I help out in certain aspects and like that. And some people you just got to let them travel that path without you. Yeah. But I got this other one here, and if you remember last year for Christmas, I picked up this. This is so cool. Model 29-10. My buddy Joe P over there He's got one. He loves his, and I love mine. This thing is cool. I really like it. Yeah, I know. Some people they're like, oh, it's got the key lock, and the key lock for me is a total. It's not a deal breaker. Do I wish it wasn't there? Absolutely. Do I wish they would have made them without the key lock? Yeah, I do. Why didn't do it in the first place? I don't know. I mean, I don't get it wrapped up in all that. I heard it's a bunch of, compromising this and blah, blah, blah. I'm not political crap. I don't get into it. Don't want it. Don't want it even on my channel. But I don't care. It's not a deal breaker for me. It has one. I have some that don't. But I really wanted a newer production one. It's got a bunch of, yeah, it's got the min parts and all that, but I have yet to have any of these things that where the min part broke. So on me, and if it did, I just call them up and get another one. I'm sure it's just a couple little, maybe even barely. I don't even think you probably need to fit much of anything and reinstall the thing. But I wanted a newer production one. I really did. I sent out for a newer production one. I should probably do an action job on my own stuff. Speaking of action job, I could probably do an action job on my own gear. But the action's actually pretty slick. Not bad at all. 6.5, true Dirty Harry style. I did replace the grips on mine as much as I wanted to keep what was on there, because I wanted it to be different from the old school ones from the 70s, which I still got my Dash 2. Don't worry, Joe. I still got it. I replaced my stocks, mainly because the ones that were on it were made by a company called Altmount or Altamount. I don't know. Hey, look, bless their heart. I'm glad they're doing what they're doing. I don't mean to trash them. And I know I've said some unkind things about their product, but it's because they're so thin. If I had any kind of input to them, they would never even watch this or anybody ever, realizing that. Make your grips wider, for Pete's sakes. Widen them up, because the reason for it is I have small hands. Those thin grips, man, they knife edge your hand when you're shooting magnums. It hurts. Even a 357 Magnum. They just don't did you guys, whoever designed those, I don't think has ever shot a Magnum. So that's my gripe with them. So I replaced mine with the Thailand stocked ones because I think the stuff coming out of Thailand is phenomenal. Great, cost half the price, and it's twice as nice as some of the other stuff that they got going on. So I like mine. I like them. These are kind of a reddish brown color, so I absolutely like it. They got a little bit of a palm swell. These ones here kind of got that old school Coke bottle look. Ouch, that hurts my wrist because I fell. But I like it. I really do. I love this thing. It's got a heck of a trigger. It's nice. Even the single action is great, good enough for me. I'm able to shoot it fairly well. The front sight is, it's pinned. It's got a little pin there. I'm thinking about my new Pythons. If you got one of the new Colts, I have noticed it on mine. Keep an eye on that front sight. Mine got loose, so tighten the little set screw up. If you're like me and you have no intentions of ever replacing it, throw a little Loctite in there. I've been meaning to do that on mine. So, but anyhow, yeah, pretty cool. There it is. Still got it. Still enjoy it. The markings are still pretty decent. They're not. I wouldn't say they're roll markings, but they're nice. The logo on the plus side, the logo is better. The logo is better on this than the old ones. It looks more clean. Mine still says Made in USA, Marcus Restratus, Smith & Wesson, Springfield, Massachusetts. I know they moved from there, and a lot of theirs are now, where are they at? I forget where they're at. Are they in Tennessee? Not sure. But mine still says Springfield, Massachusetts, as my old ones do too. So, but yeah, no issues here with this one. Still love it. Absolutely like it. Joe, I'm sure you enjoy yours. I enjoyed this thing a lot. In fact, I play with this one so much more take it to the range and blast away. I like shooting. I don't shoot any kind of nuclear magnums through it, but it is cool to be able to shoot the magnums. I don't know about right now. My wrist is really bad, so right now I'm probably not going to be wielding anything like that. We'll set these down here because I know I'm going to open this up. I thought about waiting for Christmas, but I think he wants me to open it now. What do you think? Man, you really didn't have to do this. I have no idea what you sent me. I don't know what's in there. It feels like something. It's got some weight in there. I don't know what you sent. So we're going to open it right now. Are you watching this? Many thank yous. Or is this in Sweden? Tusen tack. 1,000 thank yous. Got some bubble wrap. You wrapped it really good. Bubble wrap. What is this? Lithium ion. What is that? It's a battery. Battery. What is this? Oh, did you really get, oh, wow. Oh, something fell out of there. That's the charger. You really sent me another camera, brother? Wow. Okay. So you are too kind, sir. You are too kind. I'm going to have to check this out, man. Now, oh man, dude, you didn't have to, dude. Man, that is super cool, dude. You're a very giving person, dude. What is this in here? Assuming this is more batteries. Boy, do I ever need the batteries, because I am so bad about not having everything charged up, and I go to do these shows and stuff, and I'm like, okay, we got a battery in there. You got a memory card in there. There's a memory card in there. I'm going to charge this, stick this in the charger right now, and try to mess with this thing and do our next video with it. See if I can manage to do that. I do appreciate this greatly, Crazy Scotsman. Thank you very much. Oh, we got other things in here, little cases and stuff for more memory cards. You sent me some other memory cards. In fact, that's what we're using. So thank you, man. Wow, that is, and it's a Canon too. I am so not good at technology and all this kind of stuff. And for somebody that is like obsessed with filming, I've always been obsessed with camera and filming. Even as a very young age, I really had a thing, doing that. I used to go out and film stuff with my dog growing up. We had this husky. Her name was Millie, and she was a good dog, man. She was a good dog. She was a trooper. I used to make her do all kinds of stuff, I was young. She had a little dog house that my grandpa built her and everything growing up. But wow, so dude, that is super cool. Again, thank you. I swear, I don't know how we have this niche of us that are in this community that we got. You guys that are subscribed, you guys that are watching this right now, still here, hanging out with me on Thanksgiving, you are part of it too. We may not be the biggest channels out there, but man, we have the most awesome family here. We have the most awesome group. And, none of us, it just feels like we're always, and like I said, I would, if I had the time or ability to give, more, I feel like, I want to, I just don't. One of the things that they took away from us, it was a lot easier, was that we was able to personal message stuff back and forth, and that was easier to communicate and do things and to send stuff off and do all that kind of stuff. But anyway, wow, that is so cool. I can't wait to figure out how to use this thing and rock and roll with it. It's going to be interesting to try to figure it out. It's got a flash here, but I see it's got a video setting. So I'll have to figure it out. I'll have to look into it and check it out and all that. Man, I tell you, you sent a boatload of batteries for it, which is great because, man, there's even more batteries in here. Dude, I mean, there are batteries. We've got to be like several batteries for this thing. I have no excuse for having a dead battery and not being able to film something. So, but anyway, I do truly appreciate that. A little bit on what's going on the home front here. I have been, some of you have been with me on this, or I've been mentioning it on there. I have definitely been working on the back area, the backyard area, and all that. The biggest start was putting up this 50 feet in length and 6 feet up a block wall. I've been wanting to do that ever since for years being here, and that was like, man, I just wanted my backyard to be able to, I could do stuff back there, barbecue, hang out, and all that kind of jazz. So I finally got that done, and then I had this fella pour a giant slab for me. It's 16 by 8 feet width-wise and 16 feet long, just so that I could use it and all that. And so, paid him for the wall and paid him for the slab. Good guy, good job. I was happy with his prices and his work. Sold off a handful of guns to do it because I didn't have that kind of money laying around. So that hurt. I missed those guns, but off they go. Sold them off to do that. I don't really get out and go shooting as much anymore. Didn't really have the drive for it. I got a buddy of mine that likes to go. So every now and then I backpack it out with him, and we head out and go blast some stuff. He's always got something new going on. He's a cool guy. He's brother from the island, so he's always into stuff, and I enjoy helping him out. And I've learned. I learned a lot from him. He was getting into 1911s, and of course, I'm not exactly a stranger to 1911s. And so there was some stuff that he wanted done, so I helped him out with that a little bit. And there was actually something he helped me out with, because he dove into changing sights. I never really dove into that. I've done one or two, but I didn't really dive too much into it. But I did want to put a gold bead front sight on one of my 1911s, and I was too scared to do it, to be honest with you. Scared to do it because of the cost of the gun, and I didn't have experience in doing it, but he did, and he kind of was like, "No, man, we got this. I'll show you how to do it." And we chucked the thing up in a vise, and we worked on it. And he kind of, he knew what to do. I didn't. I mean, he broke out the sandpaper and did a little bit of the fitting and attempting to, fit the thing good. And I'm sitting there sweating bullets because I'm like, this thing is very expensive. We're about to jack it up. But no, it came out good. We replaced that. So, but he's had some stuff going on his end. So we haven't been able to necessarily, do some stuff, so. But yeah, go back out there, head back out and, do a little bit of, some stuff. So, but anyway, so after I saw, the block wall get done and all that, and then, the concrete slab, I looked at the slab and I started thinking about it, and I said, man, I've seen it done. I've worked on some job sites where I watched people do it. thought about it. I said, I don't. Maybe it's not that hard. So the very first one I did with my buddy, we did a 3 feet by 7 feet. We did it a method called dry pouring, which is exactly what it sounds like. You build the form, you dig it out, and you dump the bags in. Baggins a good sandwich place, by the way. You dump the bags in dry. You screed it, and then once you screed it and you got it good and level or whatever the way you want it, you take the hose and you lightly mist the top of it. You wait an hour, you do it again. You wait an hour, you do it again, and then you move on to a more of a shower method. And at the top of every hour after that, you do several of these. So you got to start it in the morning, and you're going to carry this all the way to dark. You're showering the thing. Each time you spend about 30 seconds just really dousing the thing up. I had my doubts on this, but a lot of people have done it. So I said I did I said, well, I said to him, well, worst case we're out $60 in concrete. And then we got to take some sledgehammers and bust the thing apart. But it turned out good. It worked. My only gripe with it is I didn't like how doing I'm not good at the making the finished top look good because it's your powder. You're messing with loose powder. They did use some methods after you screed it with the lumber to use like a dry paint roller on the top. I didn't do that. I should have done that, but no, it came out good because it's got these lines in it because of the screeding, and it actually helped because it's a pad right outside the back area where you step out, so there's no way you can slip and fall, as I found out slipping and falling. So, and with my mom, eventually if my mom ends up over here with me, living with me, I don't want her slipping and falling out there either. And she's taking a dog out there and all that stuff. So I did that with a buddy of mine, and then I took on pouring the next two slabs to create the walkway myself, and did that the traditional way, which is just wetting the concrete down and pouring it out and digging out the thing. Concrete, as I found doing it all, is pretty self-explanatory. It kind of does itself and levels itself, so I was able to be successful with that. So mainly I did all this out of not the fact that I wasn't happy with the gentleman's work that did the other stuff for me. Simply money. I don't have the money. I don't have that kind of cash you would just shell out and to do that kind of stuff with. I don't. A lot of people, it's like I don't have the kind of money to notice I haven't, I don't even buy anything for myself anymore, like far as, any new firearms or anything. I haven't done any of that. Don't refrain from doing so. It's just financially, just can't just keep doing that, so as prices and stuff, inflation, and prices of the grocery store, the gasoline to drive your car back and forth, all that stuff starts to really put you under for it all. So anyway, that's what I've been up to, and that's what's been going on there. I'm going to head on out. Hopefully you guys had a good Thanksgiving and you decided to hang out with me on the channel, so I do appreciate that. I'm going to check this thing out. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. You absolutely did not need to do that. And so now oh man, you're something else, my friend.